What's good, college football gamers? My name is Fenler, and it's my honor to be presented today by the EA Sports Creator Network for this early access College Football 25 video. Keep in mind that everything you see here today has been captured on a pre-release build and is indeed still a work in progress. In this video, I'm taking a closer look at, I think, the biggest defensive innovation since the hit stick, this year's brand new switch stick. It's definitely going to take some practice in getting used to, no question, but thankfully, the game has a feature just for that. Here's how I set up my practice mode to best get some good reps on this year's switch stick. So in our search for these good defensive switch stick reps, we're naturally going to head right over to practice mode. I like how the user interface this year will leave the last game mode that you played right there front and center for you on your home page. If you need to get there by default, you'll tab over R1 twice to the training heading where you'll see mini games, which this year are a ton of fun. They got a ton of new ones. They got a gauntlet in there, actually awesome. And for our purposes for this video, open practice. We will want our practice type to be a normal practice. That'll put an offense against the defense. Offense will just be against air, offense only, and kickoff, so you could work on the new kick meter as well. Normal for our purposes here. We'll head in against Syracuse. Again, big shouts to Pop. And I'm leaving the skill level on All-American. I got good, reliable comms from devs of this year's game that even competitive game modes like Road to the College Football Playoff will be played on All-American, which is a little surprising. I know Madden has played competitive things on their highest difficulty setting before. All-American functioning really well, really playing nicely, though. I got no problems with it whatsoever. So pick your difficulty. You could pick your playbooks in here in team settings. It doesn't really matter for our purposes here. We'll ready up, and then once the practice loads up, since we are looking to practice our defense, one of our first orders of business is going to be switching sides of the ball. So it'll default us to the offensive side of things. We'll hit pause. You could do so right away. Go to flip sides. And I think this will probably be in the final build, but again, this is indeed just the beta version of it. But for now, you'll have to pick a random offensive play and run it before it switches sides for you. So here goes our one before we get on defense. There you go, big number 5. And now we'll be free and clear to pick out our defense. I've been having a lot of fun experimenting with all the brand new nickel formations this year. I've seen a lot of new formations where there's 3 high safeties by default. With base align coming out of this year's game, we're not going to be able to do it anymore. A lot of your alignment-based gamesmanship, should you say, is coming from whether or not you're having 2 or 3 high safeties. A lot of nickel sets are having 3 high by default. I think it's going to be really cool to experiment around with. I suppose that's for another video. We'll go a random nickel defense here. You can hit L3 once so that it'll just pick a random play out for you out of nickel. And then you can just go scroll over to play type to set the offense's behavior here for this practice mode, but to do one better, especially to get switch stick reps, I went over to concept and scroll down to a deep pass. Kind of give me a little bit more space to try to flip around and get a feel for the feature. And same thing, I'll be able to hit L3 here twice so that the computer will just run random deep passing plays for me. So a couple things I noticed right away. As a defensive lineman, when you're engaged, your right stick is not indeed the switch stick. Your right stick will be your bull rush, your swim moves, your rips, all of your pass rushing moves get lasered. So it's not going to be effective once you're already engaged. Instead, it's got to be somebody off the ball. And to start, let's just see if I can switch to the safety. Nothing else, nothing exotic. I don't know what they're going to be doing. So right off the rip, I switch up to the safety. And man, oh man, if I knew what I was doing, would have put ourselves in an excellent situation. Again, regardless of what the offense is doing, let me see if this time I could get up to a safety and then over to a cornerback to cover this flat here on the right side of the field. So as soon as the snap goes, I'm up to the safety, and I clicked a little late there. Another thing I noticed, once the ball is in the air, the switch stick is done for, and you're going to need to use circle to click on instead. Ball's not away here. I was able to switch twice, and again, if I had just half of a clue as to what I was doing here, we could wind up in really advantageous situations. Let's see if we could play an open man and be a little more deliberate here this time. So we did engage, so we're not going to be able to get the switch stick. Let's click on with circle instead, and not so bad. You'll have to be able to pivot between the two. And here's what I've noticed, even just for a couple practice reps. The switch stick is going to change, I think, where we start with our thumbs on the controller. Just getting absolutely lasered by Kyle McCord, by the way. So while usually, obviously, I got my left thumb on the left stick, my right thumb generally will be on or near circle, getting ready to switch defensive players. With the switch stick, though, if the first thing I want to do is switch on to, switch near the most dangerous offensive player, my thumb is starting on the right stick, which feels weird. That's going to take some getting used to. It seems like it might be weak to a super quick passing game. I mean, reads right off the snap. It's not quite as responsive, as you get a little bit closer to the throw. So as you can see, it's got an opportunity to be great, and I really do mean game-changing. This is that's a decent example. You got to make sure you don't rush and just getting lasered, because we got to get used to this a little bit. So, set up your practice as a normal practice type. You'll want to switch sides, flip sides, as soon as you load in. And for our time, got to use circle there. For our time, I'm thinking whatever defense you're toying around with, maybe get a randomized selection in there, or if you want to be a zone type of player, we got all the way back on that one, circle for the pick. That's a great way to finish it. Had to use both switch stick and circle to finish the job. It's going to change the game. It's going to be the next hit stick. I think the defensive meta is really going to be heavily focused around using it well. I think it increases the skill gap, which is a great thing for the longevity of really any video game, but especially a game like EA Sports College Football 25. I hope this video helped out. I know I'm going to be looking to guys like Mr. Civ, Henry, of course, and some of the comp players once they get their hands on the game to really learn how much damage we can do with the defensive switch stick. Hopefully, this gave you a jumping off spot at least and a way to practice and get some good reps with a brand new switch stick.